different angle of light is being, is hitting the moon. So energy speaks and communicates through angles.
Angles, yeah.
Right? So if the sun is here and the moon is here and then here and then here and then back here to where the sun is, that's a full cycle or completion, or a new cycle rather, a new moon. So you got the sun and the moon in the same sign, right? Creating a new moon. Or for a woman's body, it's a menstrual cycle, a new month, right? So with men, with you guys, it's all about understanding, tracking the cycles of the moon and knowing where your sun sign is, which I think you said you were a Virgo last time.
Virgo, yeah.
Oh, Virgo, right? So when the sun, the sun is never going to move in your chart as a Virgo. That is fixed. The sun will forever be there in the natal chart when you were born. But when you're tracking the moon and you see that the moon is in Virgo, or let's just say it's in Leo, like it is right now, soon it's going to be in Virgo next because it's in Leo right now. So it's going to be in Virgo next. So that for you energetically is going to be like a new month, a new menstrual cycle. It's a new moon for you, natally for you, not for, the collective.
Yeah.
It's not a new moon in Virgo, clearly, right? We're in Aries season. But for you, it is a new month. It's a menstrual cycle. So this is the time when the moon is in a man's sun sign. This is a time where he want to, be making sure he's on top of his self-care. This might be a time where he want to get a little more rest or get in tune with his emotions or start setting some new, cycles, releasing something. Or right now you could be preparing to release something because it's in Leo. You're preparing for that new cycle when the moon enters Virgo. So because it's in Leo right now, this is the shedding. This is the releasing. This is the letting go of something. Or, maybe you're starting to wind down. Maybe you're going to be doing less hours of work or something, so that this new moon or this new cycle for you personally, you can really begin afresh, begin anew. If that makes sense. So when the men, this is a time where you guys should be meditating, where you should, do something new. Start, renew your energy, renew the cycle, set some new intentions, plant some new seeds in some way. Because yes, it really is, like for women, what our ancient tribes used to do was during our cycles. This is why it's so important for women to be in community too, because and not separated the way that we can be, because when women are together, their menstrual cycles link up.
Yeah,
and
I
it
heard
comes on the
about it.
same
Yeah.
day, right? And the reason for this is because for community, for connection, right, for communion. So during the tribes, when these women, all of them having their cycles synced up at the same time, they would go off into the wilderness or into the woods with what a lot of Aboriginal tribes knew as moon lodges. They would call them literally moon lodges.
See, I didn't moon lodges.
They would call them moon lodges, and all the women who were on their cycle during these times, they would go and connect to the other realms, connect to the spirit realm, do plant medicine, meditate, sing, dance naked, around the fire, whatever they were doing during this time. And they would leave the children behind, and the children would stay with the men, the men and the elders and stuff, and they would go and receive these messages and all these downloads. And then once their periods were, was done, the menstrual cycle was over, they would go and return and share all the information and the value and the insight that all of them received while they were there. So just imagine, a large group of women doing this versus you got these few, the few gifted ones or the few random dispersed ones, when really it's because we're really stronger together. And when your cycles are linked up like that, it's a huge port, especially when those energies are all together like that. It's a huge port. So I know that it's something similar. I say all that to say it's something similar for the men, that they really should, take some time out to give back to themselves during the time when the moon is in the same sign as their sun sign, because it's the equivalent to a menstrual cycle or a new moon.
Mm. All right, interesting. I'm definitely gonna keep that in mind next time when my moon is in Virgo. Definitely, I'm glad you told me that. One more
Next
question in
few
terms of
days.
yeah, one more question in terms of the whole menstrual and moon thing. You know, I've listened to a lot of occultists and before, and some of them say that the menstrual blood should be drinking. You know, a person could drink it, and it's like the elixir of life. Now that sounds real grotesque and nasty to a lot of people. Like, to yeah, I mean that stuff smell like woo. What is there any bit of truth to that? Do people do rituals with it? What was it? Was it did it have purpose in the past for rituals or drinking or whatever? Like something that we may totally not be aware of.
Yeah, I mean, it's really no good or bad, really, when it comes. I mean, it is. Everything is everything when it comes to
Yeah.
spirituality. Spirit is, the breath, which is, consists of our inhales and our exhales. So our inhales and our exhales represents a polarity, right? This is two energies, two currents that kind of like feed off of one another back and forth. So, um, yeah, like everything, I don't see it as good or bad. It just is what it is. Like if that's what the energy calls for, then that's just what the energy calls for. I think it just goes to show, how far we are from understanding the self and the body. Like there's some people who, they're drinking their urine and doing urine therapy and stuff like that. But of course, that's because the frequency, the vibration that they're at, and their health, their diet, and things like that. So if you're not, eating healthy, or you're not really taking care of yourself energetically the way you should be, then of course it will seem nasty or gross. I've never done it personally. I've never drank my menstrual blood, but I'm not saying that I won't, because if I'm led to do that, if the energy calls for me to do that, then that's what I'll do, because I know the power of me, and so if I'm using that regenerative fluid, that magnetic fluid, or if I'm being called to use that magnetic fluid, I know it's going to be for a powerful reason, because it's coming from me. So yeah, people use it. People definitely drink it, make face masks and put it in their plants and food for some people, and all that, makeup, everything, lipstick, red lipstick.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Well, somebody asked a good question in the chat earlier. You talked about balance. I don't want to forget it, so I just want to ask it now before I get to Q&A. Um, just speaking of balance, do you believe that the moon is feminine and the sun is masculine? Like we assign certain energies, masculine and feminine, to a lot of things. Should the moon? Because I heard some people say before that the moon is really masculine and the sun is feminine. Like I've heard so much. So is the moon feminine and the sun masculine? How would you describe these energies?
okay, look at it like this. The moon is always changing, right? 1 minute it's a
Mm-hmm.
crescent, 1 minute it's half, 1 minute is full, 1 minute is this, 1 minute is that, right? The sun is always shining, even if we think it went down, right? Somewhere else in the world, it's still going. It's still, you know, doing its thing. It's still just giving its light and stunting on everybody, we can say. So it's always expressing outwardly. It wants to shine. It's self-centered. It wants to be the center of attention, just like somebody on the stage is shining their gifts and performing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about that energy, it's very direct, it's constant, it's always going, it's forever and ever consistently just what it is. Whereas the moon, it has these cycles, right? These phases, these different faces. And so,
Mm-hmm.
which represents to me the woman, the feminine energy, like where we are needing to rest, we need to relax. Women can't work 20 hours straight. I mean, men probably can't either. Nope, that's a lot, but I'm sure a man can, before more than a woman can. 20 hours of work straight. And because his energy, his strength, he has more solar energy within him. He has more of that fire element within him. Whereas we need the rest, we need the rejuvenation, we need the relaxation and the self-care a lot more. We are more moody. We are, sometimes we might feel like this. One minute we might feel like that. One minute we might want to do our hair like this. The next day we might want to have our hair like that. It's changing. It's always about change. It's always about transformation, right? Think of the cycles. Look at the phases. Look in the sky yourself, right? And it's no different from our cycles, our menstrual cycle, and the things that we're going through, and how we have certain emotions that may chaotically come up out of nowhere, and you'd be like, damn, what's wrong with her? Like, we was just laughing. It was just all good, because it's like the phases and the cycles of the moon. So I mean, the way that I see it, yeah, the moon is feminine. Like, our lunar cycle is aligned with it. When you look at the full moon in the sky, that is like the ovum. It's like an ovum. It's that's getting ready to be released, in a sense. So it's kind of like really corresponding to us if you really are paying attention. Think of the different energies. Look at the differences. The fire element is masculine. The water element, which the moon deals with, right? The ocean, it affects the tides and all that, is connected with the ocean. The water element is feminine. So that's where I stand with that one.
You have a moon gaze. We hear everybody talk about sun gaze. You have a moon gaze?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Do you
Yeah.
think too much of it to make you crazy? Too much moon gazing to make you crazy? Do you think?
I
No.
mean, I don't necessarily moon gaze all the time, in the sense where I'm out there looking at it, but every single day I could say I'm moon gazing. I'm looking at, where's the moon at in relation to the sun? Because if the sun represents one hand on the clock and the moon represents another hand on the clock, you don't just look at one hand every time. If the sun represents the hour hand, which it does, the sun represents the hour hand. The hour hand is slower, right? The moon represents the minute hand. The minute hand moves faster, just like the moon. It moves faster than the sun. So when we're telling time, we're not just looking at the hour hand. Oh, it's 10 o'clock. Oh, now it's 11 o'clock. It's something in between going on. Oh, it's 10:15. Oh, it's 10:19. Oh, it's 10:55. That 55, that minute, is the moon. Now you have something to correspond to. It's not just 11 o'clock and that's just it. You're looking at both of them. You're looking at and being mindful of both of them to help you read the energy. So when I'm moon gazing, I'm looking at, okay, like for example, today, the sun is in Aries, the moon is in Leo. That is the moon is 5 houses away from the sun. If you know anything about the 5th house, then you'll know it makes sense. Kind of like why I'm here right now.
So
We're
that's
talking
like,
about the sun and the moon.
is that like
Leo is twice.
Is that
Huh?
like 5 o'clock cosmically? If Aries is in the 5th house, is that like on the cosmic clock? Is that like 5 o'clock on the cosmic clock, and then it goes back to the 12, and then you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can look at it like that. You could, if you once you understand all the things. Not, I don't want to say all, but if you have just a basic level understanding, at least, of what the 5th house rules. What is the 5th house? 5th house is children. 5th house is creativity. 5th house is, love and hobbies and dating, and just in general, your performance, your ability to act, your willpower, your drive is connected. Mars can be your drive too, but it's your vitality. Leo is your vitality. So you got the sun in Aries and the moon in Leo. Leo is 5 houses away from Aries. So those themes are going to show up just like tomorrow, or when the moon moves into Virgo. The sun will be in Aries. The moon will be in Virgo. That's 6 houses away from the perspective of the sun. That's 6 houses away. So